Hello there, good evening and welcome to Starr today here on Starr FM. I am Tutuwaa Danso. Let's see the top stories for this evening. And coming up in the broadcast, small-scale miners in the country fight back, warning organized labor, religious and traditional leaders against calls for a blanket ban on the mining industry.
The call for indiscriminate ban on a legitimate business is tantamount to lawlessness. Ghana is a country of laws. If something goes wrong, we should allow the law to take its course. So we therefore view that call as unacceptable, irresponsible, and uncalled for.
Tonight we ask, will this resistance from the small-scale miners affect the concerted efforts of government to ban the illegal mining menace, plus tell you why organized labor is not backing down on its position for a complete ban and declaration of a state of emergency on the Galamsey menace.
We understand that the government has formed a 5-member ministerial committee to engage with stakeholders. And we also understand that tomorrow the committee will be engaging with organized labor. We'll be present at that committee, but we still maintain our call that we should hold the distractions that are ongoing while the engagements take place. So we still stand by the call for a ban so that we can now engage.
Also ahead, NDC gears up for nationwide demonstration as rank and file of party indicates preparedness to shake the very foundations of the country with enough is enough protest in demand for a forensic audit of the voters' register.
We're doing a demonstration to the EC office. And that demonstration is not only NDC, it is all Ghanaians who are willing to join the demonstration so that we go and tell EC to sit up and do its work properly so that we have a peaceful election.
Tonight, we put a spotlight on this protest march, plus tell you why a security analyst, Dr. Adam Buna, wants the intervention of the national security.
The national security should have been advising the come up with a press release and let us know and tell Ghanaians that, you know what, this is not communicating to the NDC. In any case, it's not just the NDC, that almost everyone is concerned, including...
Also ahead, senior staff of universities of Ghana begin nationwide strike as they accuse government of reneging on an agreement to clear arrears of some allowances owed them. And later on the campaign trail, we unpack the NDC's demands for a forensic audit of the voters' register, plus gauge their preparations for tomorrow's protest march with the party's Deputy IT and Elections Director, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. There are details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Do stay.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Songali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. This broadcast is streaming live on our Facebook platform at Starr FM. Now, small-scale miners in the country are fighting back and resisting calls for a ban to be placed on the mining industry. According to the Responsible Small-Scale Miners Association, such blanket calls are unfair to those engaged in the legal venture. This follows joint calls by organized labor, religious, traditional leaders, and other advocacy groups for a ban to be placed on illegal mining in the country. In response, government has again deployed the police and military to clamp down on those engaged in such acts which have polluted the environment and left the water bodies in the country discolored. Addressing the media in Kumasi on the back of this, President of the Responsible Small-Scale Miners Association, Philip Bauer, described the calls for a blanket ban on all mining activities as simplistic.
We call on the law enforcement agencies to be seen to be living up to expectation. The Environmental Protection Agency, the Minerals Commission are mandated to ensure compliance. So when you see people mining on our river bodies, it is not from the responsible small-scale miners. We are against it, and from here, we are going to go after them vigorously, and we are assuring Ghanaians that within 60 days, they should see the change of the turbidity of the water bodies. But the call for indiscriminate ban on a legitimate business is tantamount to lawlessness. Ghana is a country of laws. If something goes wrong, we should allow the law to take its course. So we therefore view that call as unacceptable, irresponsible, and uncalled for. We will be responsible as we have always been. We will work to improve and help the Ghanaian economy, because we know that the Vice President has said that in 2022, had it not been the small-scale mining sector, Ghana would have been like Sri Lanka. Do we want Ghana to be like Sri Lanka? So we will mine and mine properly and be responsible. That is why we call ourselves responsible small-scale miners. So we appeal to you, the media, to send the message to everyone in this country, including the president, that he should not heed the call to ban small-scale mining, which is legitimate. A lot of things have happened in various sectors, including the media. 30 media houses were suspended for various violations. There was no ban on all the media houses. Some of them have rectified their issues and they are back on air operating. Same should apply to the small-scale mining sector. We call on the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to ensure that all the applications before him are signed to allow legitimate miners to do their responsible mining and ensure that compliance is done so that the economy of Ghana will be developed and the youth, the teeming youth who are surviving on small-scale mining. In fact, the unskilled labor in this country, majority are in the small-scale mining sector, so that we will not raise unnecessary insecurity in the country. Anytime there's unwholesome ban on small-scale mining, we hear of the bullion robbery and all sort of crimes across the country. We don't want that to happen. Unemployment is a serious national security challenge. We know that.
You just heard Philip Bauer, who is the president of the Responsible Miners, Small-Scale Miners Association of Ghana there, resisting any attempt to outrightly ban small-scale mining in the country, arguing that their activities help the country rake in some revenue, and so outrightly banning the small-scale mining will affect the country greatly and affect a large number of people in the country, because mouths to feed will become practically impossible. We are trying to get a response from the relevant stakeholders, from some of the organized laborers who are yet to meet the government tomorrow ahead of the protests, and we'll get that conversation shortly as and when we do get the people at the moment. You're still listening to Starr Today.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Sonali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
You are still listening to Starr Today. We are going to visit the Galamsey development shortly, but let's do politics now. And the largest opposition, NDC, is gearing up for a nationwide demonstration tomorrow, Tuesday, to press home their demands for a forensic audit of the voters' register. The party claims its concerns have been rubbished by the Electoral Commission, thereby leaving them with no choice than to engage in the street march. Ahead of that protest, former President Mahama has called on the NDC supporters to show up in their numbers in defense of democratic principles. My colleague Abdul Hanan Adam has the details of the story.
We call on the law enforcement.
The NDC has been advocating for a forensic audit of the voters' register after detecting several discrepancies during the voter exhibition exercise, where some voters' names were missing and others were transferred to different polling stations without their consent. However, the Electoral Commission maintains that it has rectified the errors internally and dismissed the call for a forensic audit, describing it as unnecessary. But speaking during a community engagement at Amanfro in the Botiano English Amanfro constituency as part of his Greater Accra Regional Campaign Tour, John Mahama stated that the NDC's call for an audit is in the best interest of the country and charged Ghanaians, including traditional rulers, to join the protest on Tuesday.
We're doing a demonstration to the EC office, and that demonstration is not only NDC, it is all Ghanaians who are willing to join the demonstration so that we go and tell EC to sit up and do its work properly so that we have a peaceful election. That's the purpose of that demonstration. In the recent survey that was done by Global Info Analytics, it showed that 58% of Ghanaians still have trust in our EC. Despite all the issues our EC has, a majority of Ghanaians still trust the EC. And so they should not betray that trust.
The former president further stated that the only way to get the EC to sit up is to put pressure on them.
People are behaving as if NDC is being troublesome by calling for an audit. It won't take more than 2 weeks to finish a proper audit of the register. And that's why we're saying the EC should accept, form an independent committee, let it go into the register, accept all our complaints, clean up the register, let us all be satisfied, and then we move on. That is our demand. And so on the 17th, everybody is joining and marching to the EC to demonstrate and put pressure on the EC to get up and do its job. That's what we want.
The opposition NDC in recent times raised concerns about the EC's preparedness for the upcoming elections, highlighting issues related to voter registration, proposed electoral reforms, and lack of transparency in the process.
John Mahama is the former president. Now, on her part, running mate of the National Democratic Congress, Professor Nana Jane-Opoku-Agyeman, also noted that the calls for a forensic audit is an opportunity for the Electoral Commission to bolster confidence in Ghanaians in the run-up to the presidential and parliamentary elections.
This is a fine opportunity for the Electoral Commission to raise their level of trust. Simply because they say so does not necessarily have to be so. They have to do things that everybody accepts and trusts, and that is what will lead to the peace. And as at now, the way we all see things, the forensic audit is the way forward. Failing that, people also have the right to express themselves the way they want. Demonstrations are legal in this country. So if you're not listening to them and you insist that it's only your way that matters, and people are going on demonstration, I salute everybody who wants to support the call by the party to join the demonstration. So definitely the EC wants to be known to have done the right thing. And we are calling on the EC to do the right thing by responding to the concerns of the parties involved and the voters involved. And this should work for all of us, regardless party. The winners must be convinced that they truly won the elections. The losers must also understand that they truly lost the elections. And the auditing, for me, is a common denominator. We have heard opinion leaders, chiefs, whatever category of leaders in the past. They raised their voices and supported the auditing. We want to hear same voices raised now to support a similar exercise.
Professor Nana Jane-Opoku-Agyeman is the vice presidential candidate of the NDC. Let's now take you across the country where the leadership of the party at the various regional levels have been briefing the media on preparations for the street protest. We begin from the Ashanti region where NDC regional chairman Augustus Andrew Nanakwesi has been speaking to Starr News. Take a listen.
We are going to meet at the regional party office around 7:30 to 8. Then we will move through Amokom overhead, through KMA. Then we descend to the old garden tulip to the EC regional office. So that's the route that we are going to apply.
You have the police permit secured already?
Yeah, we've discussed everything with them, and they've invited me that I should come this afternoon, so we are ready to go. But so far, everything is on course that tomorrow's demo is going to take place.
What do the NDC seek to achieve in this demonstration?
We want the EC to do the right thing, and we want them to audit the register, period.
What have you found wrong within the register for which you're calling for this audit?
A lot, because people's name has been transferred legally, some people's names has been deleted, and a lot of things. So that's what we are calling the EC to do an audit on the register.
In Ashanti region, do you have such cases here, or it's just the other regions that you are backing?
Yeah, we have a lot of them, and we've officially wrote to the EC, and they asked that we should bring proof. So we've added the proof. We wanted to meet them for a meeting, but they told us that they are waiting for the approval from the national EC boss. But since we haven't heard anything about it, and you know one thing that is disturbing, during last month we arrested one person, an MPP person, taking people's name that they are going to do transfer for them. But we know that if you want to do transfer, you have to go there yourself. So this shows us that what the EC has done, there are so many faults or so many errors in it. And even the EC boss in this region has admitted it, and they want to work on it. But it's very slow. We want a very quick action, and the audit, we are demanding for an audit. And what we are demanding is that whenever the meeting is going to take place, they should invite the media to be part, so that Ghanaians will know that what the NDC is saying is right or wrong. If we find that what NDC is saying is wrong, then we will go back in shame. But when Ghanaians see that what we are saying is right, then the EC will be shamed. And
we just heard from the party's chairman in the Ashanti region speaking there. But ahead of the protest, security analyst Dr. Adam Buna wants the national security to encourage the Electoral Commission to consider a forensic audit of the voters' register. Dr. Buna argues that such audits are essential for upholding electoral integrity and public trust. He joins me over the phone lines for a conversation now. Doc, thank you very much for joining us this evening on Starr Today. What do you make of the NDC's claim for a forensic audit of the voters' register?
Oh, yes. Good evening. Well, I think apart from the NDC asking for the audit, I think it is in the interest of all of us, fair play, to have a forensic audit of what you call that the electoral register. And the simple reason is that you know that we are at a crucial point of the country's democracy, where claims and counterclaims have been everywhere. Not now; it started long ago. And so 2 months or so into elections, we've noticed some discrepancies on the electoral register. It is only important to ask that let's correct it now, before that leads us into some chaos on D-Day. So you can imagine people, get to the voting center and they are told that their names cannot be found on the register and they should go elsewhere. And you have widespread, missing names on the electoral register. What is that going to mean to us as a country? And so I think that the Electoral Commission, as per the Constitution, would say that they are independent. But how independent are they when they are paid through the public purse? I think that they should subject themselves on the register to scrutiny, so that, after all, for me, it's just an exercise to ensure that everyone feels okay. Those who disagree would all come to a round table. Let's all audit the system and then see if there are some discrepancies. If not, then on D-Day, probably we are going to run into more serious issues, if you ask me.
Right, Doc. I mean, despite all these concerns that you have raised, the Electoral Commission insists that it is well positioned to correct any anomaly captured in the register. How do you also respond to this?
I mean, it's for me. We are all here. Even if you are not here, you monitor through media houses like Starr FM and the rest. There were instances where the Electoral Commission was very quick to come and, disagree with some issues that has to do with electoral one anomaly or the other. And later, when they are confronted with the evidence, they will quickly come and say, well, yes, that has come to their notice and they are correcting it. Mine is that we cannot just continue like that unabated. To say you cannot actually, be a judge, in your own case, because then the issues that have come up are issues against the Electoral Commission. And so how can you say, in law, it's not even allowed, how can you say that, let me be a judge in my own case? I just think that it's just an audit. It won't spoil anything. It's just an audit. It's just an audit. It will not spoil anything. So they should save us the hassle. I haven't heard from the Peace Council. I think the office of the chief imam should be speaking. The clergy, I have heard them partly, I have heard some of them talk. But I think that all of us, the media, everybody should call the Electoral Commission to do this so that, tomorrow's demonstration can be avoided. Can you imagine all the 16 regions, how the police will be stretched to whatever limit you might want to call it? What happens to crime fighting in the country? What happens to crime fighting? I think the Electoral Commission, this is just an audit. And we are even told the UNDP is willing to sponsor. So even the audits will not be coming from the public purse. We wouldn't be paying for it. And donor is doing that. So why can't we get it done so that when we go into 2024 elections, we are all at peace, knowing very well that everything that came up has been corrected. But if you say, leave it for us, we will fix it. How sure are we that you will fix it?
Doug, but as a security analyst, I believe that you have been monitoring the EC's posture in all of this. Do you think that their attitude contributes to erosion of trust for them?
It is obvious. And yesterday in a forum somewhere, I said it, that the EC chair is in her 50s. So obviously she wouldn't have missed 1979. Obviously she wouldn't have missed 1983. Obviously, she wouldn't have missed some of the darkest days of this country. We don't want to go back there again. She's old enough to have seen it just like me. And so mine is that I am amazed that someone who got to where she is through civil society, she gets there and when she's called for, scrutiny, she says no. I think wherever she came from the IA, and other civil society organizations, the mantra is to ensure that transparency, fairness, justice, and all these things are something that we all call for. So for her to be, once upon a time, an advocate for transparency, to be put in that position today, and she's the one who is pretending over, we will not allow transparency, I am amazed at her posture, which I think that the national security, Honorable Kandapaya, and his people should call on Jane Mensah this evening. They should come up with a press release of a sort to calm the nerves, to let us know, to inform those who disagree. The NDC, the rest, it's not just NDC. People have gone and have complained that their names have been transferred illegally. To, assure these people that we are going to allow this audit so that once this is done, they should come up with a press release. And I'm sure once it is done, chances are that Touchwood, NDC would not go, I wouldn't even say NDC. Ghanaians who want to go on demonstration today will not go on the demonstration. And then the audit will be done forensically. And we all go home believing that 2024, we are not going to have issues with regards to missing names and people who have been illegally transferred from one location to the other. I am disappointed in Jane Mensah, especially being a member of civil society who got to where she is today, and she's the one who seems to be against probity and accountability. I am just amazed at her and her commissioners. I'm amazed.
Right, Doug, let's just, assume that the EC still holds on to its entrenched position of not conducting that forensic audit, and the NDC is planning to go on a protest tomorrow anyway. as a security analyst, do you think it is going to be anything pleasant? And I'm asking this because on September 4, we saw what happened when the youth wing of the party decided to go on a protest to demand for accountability in some financial transactions that have happened in the country. We saw the clashes with the NDC youth wing and then the police. Let's make projections ahead of tomorrow's protest. So what should we expect?
I'm expecting the demonstration to be peaceful. But you see, I would say 70%. I will give that 70% chance of the demonstration being peaceful. But you see, the times we find ourselves, the other 30%, it will be very difficult for me to predict. The simple reason is that demonstrations can usually start very peaceful. I mean, as a former student leader myself, you bring people together, but at a point, you could lose control. And once that happens, who are you going to blame? You can't blame anybody, because then this demonstration, we could easily have avoided it. It's just one item demonstration. But you see, if you are not careful, the cascading effect, it will end up becoming 100 item demonstration. Like it started with Nigeria recently, and then Kenya and the rest. They usually start with just one. Before you see, demonstrators begin to call for some of the things that we are all aware of. Meanwhile, probably we've been waiting for 2024 elections so that whoever wins, we swear you in. And so I think that let's not take chances, because the situation on the ground, Ghanaians are complaining, just waiting, because there's a lot of gunpowder in the atmosphere, just waiting for the slightest of naked light to just send the whole country into, a point of no return. And I think national security, I mean, they are my colleagues. I think national security are aware of this. They can't say they don't know. They're aware of this. So I don't see why just a single demand, audits. It's just audits. And EC says we are independent. We are not going to do it. Leave us to do our thing. I don't know where we are going to with this posture. It's not good for our cohesion, and I'm disappointed that those who are supposed to be talking aren't talking.
Right.
Those who are supposed to be talking, the conscience of this country, who are supposed to be talking, I haven't heard many of them ask the EC to talk. To deal with this issue, and we are looking on.
Right, Doc, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate your time. I've been engaging Dr. Adam Bona. He's a security analyst. Let's still stay on this development. And the former chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, is challenging the EC to prove that the previous register contained trees and animals.
Constituencies not register plants and animals. We will demand it from the Electoral Commission. They should let us know any register in a constituency where plants and animals' names were in the register. They cannot insult the integrity of Ghanaians. I want to assure you that the NDC is resolved. Say, we will go all out and call on the international community and call on the faith-based organization, civil society organization, and a very diplomatic mission. They should come and ensure that our register is credible and fit for purpose.
Let's go back to our earlier story on illegal mining, where the Small Scale Miners Association is rejecting any outright ban on the activity and engage the Eastern Regional Minister, Seth Echampong, whose region is one of the worst affected, and he's joined us over the phone lines for a conversation. Mr. Champong, thank you very much for your time this evening. So, are we making any headway in this fight against the menace?
Thank you very much. We've been doing this routinely, and we are engaging and ensuring that we do the needful to sustain our environment, i.e. our water bodies and our forest cover.
Right. Doc, do you agree with the calls for outright ban on small-scale mining in this country?
No, I do not. The reasons are straight and simple. It is an economic activity. There are some who are responsible I need to give a little bit of history here. At the outset of the second term of His Excellency the President, he got the minister responsible for the natural resources and lands and forestry to issue a total ban on all extractive activity in the country. We stopped every extractive activity, both large and small here, and got members who were involved in that sector, extractive sector, to assemble for us to engage on responsible mining. And that is how we started it. And thereafter, we went on and commissioned all those small-scale mining enterprises to work. But the truth be said that besides people legally and doing their legitimate business of small-scale mining, there are some recalcitrants who go out there on the water bodies and in the forest without legal authority. And they are the ones we've been battling. So I would not call for an absolute ban on small-scale mining. It will be difficult for this economy, and we are going to worry and we are going to suffer because people need employment. People need to work. There are some who are genuinely working. It is not all small-scale miners who are mining irresponsibly. No, I do not support that call.
Right. We also understand that the Eastern region is also being affected by some quarrying activities. Can you run us through that? What really is the status of that activity in your region?
There are several quarries in the region, depending on the location. If I could get a specific one which is causing problem, then we'll do that. Other than that, we do not just only suffer illegal extractive materials such as the minerals like gold and other resources. But we suffer sand winning, which is a major concern to us. That's one of the things we battle in the region heavily from time to time.
Finally, before I let you go, we are well informed that have been a redeployment of the police and the military in that all affected mining areas. Do you think this will yield some fruits?
We're on a mission to ensure that the water bodies are clean and the forest is not disturbed. Normally, when we speak, people do not understand. Yes, some will view every activity as an illegal activity. But when you go closer, you realize that some are lawfully permitted to do what they do. And so we are going to ensure that our water bodies are wiped off all those people sitting on the water bodies without lawful authority. Those ones we will not entertain.
Right. Thank you very much for your time. I've been engaging the Eastern Regional Minister, Seth Echampong, on the back of the Galamsey Menace. You are still listening to Starr Today.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
Now, the Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana today began a nationwide strike. The group has accused government of reneging on agreements to clear arrears of some allowances owed them. According to them, on 5th September, they served notice to the National Labour Commission of their intention to lay down their tools. But following government inability to honor their three demands, they say they are left with no other option than to begin the action. Let's go over the phone lines now and engage George Anson. He's the president of the Senior Staff Association of the Universities of Ghana. Good evening, sir, and thank you very much for your time this evening. If you can hear me, why are you embarking on that industrial action? Hello, Mr. Ansong. Well, we are still working the phone lines to get a response from the association on why they intend to lay down their tools. This is still Starr Today.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Ridge and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook, on Star 1035 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM.
Let's go over the phone lines and we'll have a conversation because we've been joined by George Anson. He's the president of the Senior Staff Association of the Universities of Ghana. Mr. Anson, thank you very much for your time. Why do you want to embark on an industrial action?
We want to do so because we feel that we are being discriminated against. We are all in the public universities. We all work in the university. There are allowances that each category of staff take. But there is one common one that cuts across, that anybody who qualifies takes. And the agreement with government is that every year we review it 2 times. So government reviewed the rate in January. So that's from January to June. When it was reviewed, only one union was written to that they should enjoy, leaving the others. So we planned on embarking on strike. So a day before the strike, government released a letter. So we said, then let's take action. Once government has released the letter, we believe that payment is going to be made. As I speak, those on controller payroll have still not been paid. The second review has come. This time too, government has written that one section should be paid. That is the senior members, leaving us. We don't understand.
Did government give any reason as to why you won't be paid?
No reason, my sister. No reason. No reason up to now. So we think that we are being discriminated against. And we think that it's not fair because we are all working in the university. Some of the allowances that senior members take, we don't take. We don't have a problem. But this one covers all of us. Then you write that they should be paid and you leave us behind. We don't think it is fair.
Okay, but we also cited a letter dated September 10 from the NLC to your association. Have you responded to that letter?
Please, I've not received any letter from National Labour Commission as I speak.
Right, so after you declared industrial action, have you heard from the NLC?
No, please.
What about the other stakeholders, like the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission?
No, what is fair wages and fair wages? We don't have any problem with fair wages because we have had an agreement with them. They have done their part. They are finished. They have written to the ministry for the ministry to do the payment. So it is the ministry that has failed to honor its side of the agreement.
But are you likely to return to the negotiation table?
For what again, please? Because we have finished the negotiation on this. We have signed the agreement. What is left is for government to pay. So what negotiation again?
All right. Thank you very much. I've been engaging George Angsong. He's the president of the Senior Staff Association of the Universities of Ghana.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
You're still listening to Starr Today. Let's do business now. And the Institute for Energy Security is predicting a reduction in fuel prices at the pump in the next pricing window. The energy think tank attributes the reduction to a decline in world crude oil prices and the relative stability of the cedis. According to the IES, consumers will soon pay between 5 to 2% less for petrol. Adam Yakubu is a research analyst at IES.
Consumers of various petroleum products on the Ghanaian fuels market should expect price of these products to fall between 2 and 5% in the second pricing window for September 2024. This comes at the time international price of petroleum products have seen a free fall with varying falls of different prices for the individual petroleum products. Specifically, when monitoring the international fuels market, gasoline did see its price fall by some 10.62%. Gas oil did see its price fall around 6%, and LPG fell by some 2.64%. The Ghana cedi, for the first time, has recorded its slowest depreciation by some 0.09%. The cumulative effect of these two measures of a slow currency depreciation realized in the first pricing window for September, coupled by the significant price falls that have been realized over the last 2 weeks, the IES is anticipating prices to fall on the local fuels market, and so consumers are to see in the coming days some respite being felt at the pumps when going to buy petroleum products for their vehicles.
Now, the management of UBA Ghana has reiterated its commitment to enriching the African creative art industry and promoting local talent on a global platform. This move follows the premiere of the 13 Kinds of Women, which offers an intimate look into the lives of diverse women, exploring their real-life relationship dynamics, challenges and triumphs. The star-studded series features some of Ghana's most talented actors, including Prince David Osei, Harold Amenya, Peter Ritchie and Jasmine Barudi, among others. Speaking to Starr Business, Chief Operation Officer at the UBA Ghana, Kwazim Bello, emphasized the bank's commitment to fostering African creativity through Red TV and also dedication to telling African stories and empowering young content creators and filmmakers across the continent.
Starr Today, burst, fast and credible.
Away from business, let's do politics. And the former president, John Dramani Mahama, has opined that his main opponent in the upcoming presidential elections, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, will be awarded a failed score for his poor handling of the current country's economy. His remarks are in response to claims by the vice president that the current administration, despite the challenges, has managed the economy better and urged Ghanaians to give him the nod in the December polls. Speaking during a community engagement at Amanfro in Botsiano English Amanfro constituency as part of his Mahama for Change tour of the Greater Accra region, the NDC flag bearer dismissed these assertions, indicating that the NPP flag bearer cannot escape blame for the current economic crisis in the country.
The mark that the people of Ghana will give him for management of the economy is F. F means fail. Because when it comes to economy, they failed completely. Absolutely. And they cannot escape blame for where they have landed us. Heap the huge debt on the people of Ghana. And the reason why the cedi is even still stable is that this year we're not repaying any of our debts. Debt repayment starts next year when the next government comes. And so even when you're not paying your debt, the cedi every week is moving. Now it's past 16.7 and still moving. And so they cannot run away from responsibility. And I always say that when you are ill, the first step towards a cure is to accept that you are ill and know what is wrong with you. But these people, they don't even understand that the country is in crisis. They say they are the best government since Kwame Nkrumah, and that Akufo-Addo is better than Kwame Nkrumah. No. So it's obvious that they don't understand the harm that they have done to Ghana.
Let's still stay in the quarters of the NDC, and tensions in the Ofutu constituency of the Central Region have reached a boiling point as the ruling New Patriotic Party and opposition NDC engage in a series of retaliatory actions over the removal of political billboards. Over the weekend, more NDC billboards were allegedly cut down by NPP operatives despite earlier threats from the opposition to respond in kind. Ofutu, a political hotspot, has become the center of conflicts between the NPP and NDC ahead of the elections. The opposition claims that over 400 of its legally erected billboards have been removed since the 2020 election season. This weekend's removal of more NDC billboards by NPP operatives has sparked further animosity.
When it comes to action, they should believe that the leadership in the and when you hear people, we don't know what we can do. There are some of us, we are for peace, but when we speak, it is for war. You go to my can't send me, I didn't send me to see, but you know, you smoke the peace pipe. You have to ask me.
What appears to be fueling the tension is the perceived police's lack of response to complaints.
You intercept WhatsApp conversation between my deputy and one former assembly member of Awudu, where in that statement, Awudu was saying and they are going to pull our billboards down. This is a WhatsApp chat. And I've given all the videos and all these chats as evidence to the police. Sometimes the police is seen to be doing some selection protection. So today I ask them, if you are being fair and you are going by one credentials, have you been fair to the NDC? And sometimes the police, sorry to say, some of them, let me use that word, some of them, even their body language and attitude, not knowing where they are standing and where they are coming from. It looks like they are even, some of them have sold their conscience. It's why they don't even care about the ethics of one professional, one part of their and so this is the sentiment from my people.
Political analyst at the Kumasi Technical University, Professor Smart Sapong, weighed in, describing the situation as unnecessary and harmful to the democratic process.
Let us tolerate one another. The essence of billboards and posters, apart from addressing the issue of visibility, if you mount all the billboards and you do not interact with up to about 80% of voters in your constituency, your competition is disadvantaged. So if one day you destroy all the NDC billboards in the constituency and it is left with MPP billboards only, and the NDC candidate is able to interact with not less than 80% of the voters, you would not be surprised that the one that had the biggest billboards and the most dominating billboards will lose. They should learn that and stop majoring the minors. Destroying somebody's billboard is a minor. It doesn't guarantee you a win. It is unnecessary. It will only provoke internal conflicts which may degenerate into marring the entire beauty of the expected December 7th elections.
He urged the NPP to halt the needless provocative actions and focus on campaigning rather than exacerbating tensions.
You cannot tie my hand at my back and slap me or give me punches and expect me to sit and look on. Even though I am not saying they should retaliate in a manner that will degenerate the peace, I think they still have to react. I mean, the most appropriate way will be to report to the police. But you and I know some of these people, we expect them to solve a problem for us, how inertia some of them behave sometimes. So let all stakeholders hear and so be advised that the act of destroying someone else's billboard or banner is illegal, and in fact, it doesn't add to your chances of winning an election.
As tensions remain high, the coming days will likely see further clashes unless swift interventions are made. You just heard a report filed by my colleague Pizza Kwao Adato. Let's come in the studios now, and we are doing sports. Benghazi is seated. Right out there. Benghazi.
More like the Benghazi.
I know.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening to you,
What do we have
Tutuwaa.
in sports today?
Okay, so in sports, we begin from a bit of politics because that's the season we find ourselves in clearly. Between now and December 7th.
Before we get into politics, I mean, what is the status of the CAF ban on our stadiums? There were proposals that we could use the Legon Stadium, for instance. How far with that?
So we are still where we are, if not worse, because after the games over the weekend, the CAF Champions League prelims involving our Ghanaian clubs. On Sunday, Samatex, who are defending Ghana Premier League champions, took on Raja from Morocco.
Okay.
When the game came to an end, in a post-match press conference, the coach of the Moroccan side, Raja, gave a damning verdict on the Accra Sports Stadium pitch. The pitch, Ministry of Youth and Sports wants the GFA to invite CAF to come and inspect. After the game this Sunday, and the coach of Raja Casablanca from Morocco gave a damning verdict on the quality of the pitch.
Okay.
So clearly tells you of how
you're not making progress.
No headway whatsoever. Again, there are issues with the Legon Stadium. It does not meet the required standards for category C games. capacity of the stadium is also counted. And if you look at the Legon Stadium,
what is
I
the
think
capacity?
Legon Stadium is, I think, around 10,000
capacity.
or thereabout. But you
Right.
need the minimum, I think the minimum is 20,000 or so for category C games in Africa. So even that alone
Disqualifies.
absolutely. So far, little progress. Well, we'll see. In the coming days, we will see if CAF indeed will come down to Ghana to inspect
But I mean,
the
what
stadiums.
do you think the problem really has been? Would it for you be misplaced priorities?
Misplaced priorities, dishonesty on the part of people we've put in charge of our sports over the years.
Okay.
Dishonesty and lack of, what's the right word, truthfulness. And,
Do you think that we can also talk about maintenance culture?
It all comes down to the points I'm making here, because I know people have been paid monies over the years to either renovate or maintain or upgrade some of these stadia around the nation. So the question is, how then is it that stadiums that we have upgraded over the years, we find ourselves in this current state? Now, I'm sure you've seen some of these posters have been coming from some of Tutuwaa Blackwa, Honorable, on some of the payments we've made in the last 4 or 5 years to contractors to work on some of our stadiums, including Accra Sports Stadium. So if you've paid all those chunk of money to some of the contractors we have in this country, so I ask yourself, how then is it that these stadiums still cannot meet a category C standard that is required by CAF to get us going? It's just too sad. But so let's take a listen to the coach of Raja Casablanca, his verdict on the Accra Sports Stadium after the game played yesterday.
I must not be happy. I'm not happy. I'm happy because we don't lose the game. But normal, we must win this game. Of this field where we play, it's not possible to play. But how we play today, I say congratulations. That is big win for my team. And because of that, I'm proud of this young. How he play and where we play of this field, very difficult. Very difficult. Sometimes. That is the football. I say thank you very much to Ghana. Thank you very much for these people. And special thanks for our supporter who coming with us here. Thank you very much and see you, inshallah, in Casablanca.
And that's the coach of Raja Casablanca. His damning verdict on the pitch that you want to invite CAF to come and inspect. A club coach already thinks it's a bad pitch, also in Accra. So it tells you what it is, the current state of our pitches in Ghana. Truth is, like I said, over the years, from the Ministry of Youth and Sports to those who we have appointed over the years at the NSA, the National Sports Authority, those who have been in charge, they are supposed to be maintaining and developing sports in the country. Then, of course, the GFA also got their own role to play in all of this. All these agencies and the assigns have been so dishonest to Ghanaians, so much so that all the monies that have gone into that sector clearly have been wasted. Is the reason why we are where we are. Tutuwaa, how difficult is it to simply maintain a natural grass pitch over the period?
It just takes me back to that awful photo we saw at the Tamale Sports Stadium where fecal matter was being poured on the stadium, on the pitch.
So you realize it's not the first time it's coming up. It's been a matter we've been dealing with for years in this country.
You see, in all of this, my issue is that this information is not privy to just you. I believe there are other sports journalists who know about this. What happened to naming and shaming?
We've been doing it. All these years, the pictures you saw at the Tamale Stadium when the fecal matter thing was, those, and over the years, you've seen journalists, media persons like myself and yourself and others in the industry talk about the nature of our pitches, how poor they have been, especially when we find ourselves in the dry season. You should try and watch a Ghana Premier League game when it's around the dry season period, and you would marvel how we're able to still allow players to play on some of the pitches we play in Ghana.
Very uncomfortable.
So bad. So it is now even worse that you are in a rainy season and yet your pitches are not good enough.
I mean, you're likely to be playing in mud anyway because it looks like the grass are not even there anymore.
Tutuwaa, how difficult is it? Let's just try and analyze this to maintain a natural grass pitch in a rainy season. All it takes from my layman's point of view is to employ at least someone who knows how to manage, what's the right word for those who manage grass and all those? There's a word for those guys.
Okay.
Employ someone who is good in that field and ensure that there's constant watering. And then you cut to the level that you want it over the period. According to what you
said, there has been some monies given to
some
people
for renovation works and all of that at the stadiums over the years, but nothing. For instance, at Sipon Stadium, I personally can recall about 3-4 times I heard that former finance minister in parliament mention and even go to the extent of saying that works done is over 90% complete. And yet, when you get people to go to the grounds at the Sipon, they go and the pictures they give us,
complete.
everything is in a mess. Accra, like I said, in the last 4 or 5 years, they've gone through renovation works 3-4 times Accra Sports Stadium.
I remember the last renovation exercise.
And yet, you one of these days, if you are bold enough, go to the Accra Stadium and try and use any of their washrooms.
Oh, I have been there. I think the last time I was there was during, was it the NPP's delegates
That was
congress
way
or
back.
something?
That was about 2 years ago.
2 years ago, maybe. And it looked nasty.
Try the washrooms if you are bold enough.
No, I'm not that bold.
If you won't lose your chances again. Because it's bad. It is terrible when you go inside and go into those areas. And the pitch is not good. So you ask yourself, so all
what
these
is
people
that
who
facility actually doing?
and the people supposed to be maintaining and managing it. And they are paid every single month.
Right. They are still paid.
Of course, the workers, the NSA workers are paid every month. Your taxpayer, your money and my money, it pays them every month.
You see, I don't mean to be biased, but this is what has been affecting my dear Kotoko. They are not able to score because of the nature of the pitch. And it's not even a joke.
Talking about Kotoko, I understand, Kotoko, once the stadium is now closed now, so I heard that we're moving to the Linkley Stadium in Obuasi to play their Ghana Premier League games. Anyway, let me give you some other sports updates now, but still on the pitch. And flag bearer for the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has weighed in on the Confederation of African Football Stadium ban on Ghana for an AFCON qualifier, describing it as a national embarrassment. The decision follows some technical infractions identified by the Continental Football Governing Body during the recent AFCON qualifying between Ghana and Angola at the Kumasi or Wabayara Stadium in Kumasi. Speaking during a mini rally at Akwiteman Pentecost Park in Okankwe North, John Dramani Mahama lashed out at the government over the development despite an 85 million Ghana investment for the renovation of the national stadiums ahead of the recently held All Africa Games.
National team, yambo match bia o Ghana hebio. Weye eningwase Emma Ghana, the first time in the history of Ghana, FIFA say ye ni stadium bia ye betimi abo match, ye FIFA match e wo Ghana ha. Weye na ye say yambo mabaso, omo ya ade. They say we should clap for them. They've done well. Meanwhile, All Africa Games eba almost 85 million for sports stadium rehabilitation. Ningina yenchendi nkofo afedi. At least eba ye for All African Games. At least eba ye almost the 18 days per ewo Ghana ha. 18 days, 15 days. At least almost free Africa by 15 days. And you did $15 million. And every day be $1 million. Almost $1 million. Every day be no, and send me be what's here.
And that's the former President John Dramani Mahama describing what it is. It feels like it is an embarrassment. He spoke about, first of all, the news from CAF banning Ghana from using the Kumasi Sports Stadium. And he said that for the first time in so many years, this clearly is an embarrassment on this nation for all these years. And he compared that to why, for instance, a nation that spent over 85 million Ghana cedis on raising stadiums for the African Games, will on the back of that still not have a proper stadium to host Category 3 games for qualifiers in Africa. And then he spoke about the amount we used on feeding the athletes for the African Games. 18 days they were in Ghana, and we spent around 18 million
Ghana cedis.
Yeah, $1 million.
Million dollars.
So it meant $1 million for every single day. That's pretty much what the former president was saying.
They must have had a feast. But I asked about misplaced priorities because, in recent times, you're listening to a deputy sports minister, a former deputy sports minister, and then he says that he will be taking athletes to the United States of America. when during his tenure, we didn't even see any progressive work done on the stadium. That is the reason I actually mentioned.
That's why I told you about a bit of dishonesty on the people we've put in charge of some of these places. I mean, clearly, that's plus. I think we also overrate some of the people we see in politics.
Right.
That's a personal conclusion I've gotten for some time now. We clearly have been overrating the people we have in politics in this country. Some of them clearly, from their utterances, from their actions over the period, tells all of us
they don't know what to do. They're just
clearly overrate their. Anyway, let me not proceed into my elements. Anyway,
you have a last story.
Let me bring it down. Now, a walk aimed at educating the public on the risk and prevention of lung cancer took place over the weekend. At the event, which was organized by members of the Ghana Thoracic Society, saw participants walk through the streets of Ayi Mensa to Peduase on the bridge stretch. Dr. Seiram Wodui, a pulmonologist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and participants clarified that lung cancer is treatable, but encourage individuals to take control of their lung health and reduce their risk of lung cancer.
Cancer is treatable, and we are actually in September also is celebrated Child Lung Cancer Awareness Week. Yes. So cancer is treatable. It depends on the time when it is picked up. So with late presentation, it's more difficult to treat. Yeah, but cancer is treatable. Apart from chemotherapy, there's also transplants, which we don't have available. But cancer is definitely treatable. It depends on when it is diagnosed. So it must not be made cheap to buy it easily. And the people who bring it in must have the responsibility of contributing to the health of the people who will suffer from the ill effects of it. Well, it is a life choice, and everybody has autonomy. If I am an adult and I decide to smoke tobacco, then there isn't much that, anybody can do to me. But it must be, these are things that must be, we talked about poor health systems. Tobacco companies must support our health systems because they are contributing to the burden, you see. And if tobacco is very cheap and very accessible, then people buy.
That should be it for our sports. My name, as always, is Benjamin Iyamoa. Back to you, Tutuwaa, for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much. But before you leave, did you see Arsenal's game yesterday?
Yeah.
What
the North London Derby.
What do you have to say?
Good game for Arsenal. Good win for Arsenal. Point is that sometimes if you don't play well, ensure that a big team, you pick all 3 points, and they did it. But of course, the other teams also won. But the sad bit was Liverpool. Ancelotti was given a slot welcome with a defeat against the opponents from Nottingham Forest.
Thank you very much, Benjamin Yama. He's my colleague on the sports desk. Away from that, I told you that we were going to revisit the Galamsey subject, and we understand that a 5-member interministerial committee instituted by President Akufo-Addo to fight the illegal mining menace will be meeting organized labor tomorrow. Ahead of that meeting, organized labor says it is not backing down on its demand for a complete ban and declaration of a state of emergency on the Galamsey menace. Let's go over the phone lines and have a conversation with the President of University Teachers Association, Professor Mahamudu Akudugu. Prof, thank you very much for your time. Government has announced the formation of a 5-member interministerial committee to evaluate ongoing efforts to combat the illegal mining, but you seem not satisfied. Why so?
Thank you, and thank you for having, and good evening to your listeners. Our demand was straightforward. Ask that there should be a ban, and then whatever conversations can be had on the issue, then we can have those conversations. So we have no problem with government setting up a 5-member ministerial committee to engage stakeholders, but it doesn't take away the fact or our demand that there should be an immediate ban, because the distractions are still ongoing. So what we need is to stop the distractions, and then we can have the conversations as to how to proceed from there.
But Doug, an association like the Responsible Small Scale Miners Association says that outrightly banning the mining in the country will be detrimental to the economy. Don't you agree?
Polluting the water bodies and poisoning our food system is not detrimental to the country. It's equally detrimental, even more detrimental to the country than the 1 million or so people that are said to be engaged in small-scale mining.
But I mean, over the period, how would you assess the Minerals Commission in leasing out licenses? Do you think the Commission has been up to the task?
Well, we, at this point in time, the fact that people are giving licenses to degrade our environment definitely means that we have not been doing proper due diligence. And beyond that, the Mineral Commission is now talking about opening offices in places and what have you in mining places. So it's now that those structures are being put in place. So why do you go ahead and give people licenses to operate before even you put in the structures that can help to regulate them?
Right.
So that shows that at least they've not been up to the task.
Okay, the Minerals Commission has not been up to the task, as you say. But you're meeting the government tomorrow. What are some of the concerns you will be tabling before them, the committee?
Well, organized labor is having a meeting first before a decision as to whether we will meet the government side or not will be made. So we'll go into the organized labor meeting, and then when we finally decide whether we meet the committee or not, then we can take it from there.
Are you likely to embark on the industrial action even after meeting the committee?
Sorry?
I'm asking if you are still likely to embark on the industrial action even after meeting the committee.
Meeting the committee is not a solution to the problem. We are looking for the solution to the problem. So it's not, just meeting the committee tomorrow will stop our water bodies from being polluted. The mining is still ongoing. Of course, we understand that given the interest that has emerged in the media, and of course, you people are doing a great job bringing all this out. Some have backed out a bit, and over the last few days, some of the water bodies are beginning to get settled and what. But that is not enough. So that goes to say that if our demand that let's halt all all small-scale mining activities is adhered to, we'll be able to really get somewhere in terms of restoring the integrity of the environment. And so meeting the committee or the committee being set up, even government itself knows that the solution is not setting up the committee. There's more to be done than just setting up the committee.
Right, Prof, I also want to find out from you. We just saw a post on Facebook from one of your members, specifically the president of UTAG at the University of Ghana, that's Professor Ransford Jampo, and he says that we won't honor any invitation. The demands are simple. Government clearly has no political will to save or prevent all of us from dying, so we would fight to save our lives. And he's asking for the declaration of a state of emergency, for a moratorium to be placed on all mining, whether legal or illegal. Are you aware of this decision not to honor the invitation?
Well, as I said, we are a member of organized labor. UTAC is a member of organized labor, and organized labor will have a meeting tomorrow. And as a member, we would want to meet with our colleagues, other labor associations and unions, to take that decision. Yes, Professor Jampo is a respected member of UTAC. He's one of our president of the University of Ghana branch, as you mentioned, and expressing those views. But we will still want to have a collective decision when we meet as organized labor.
Right, Prof, thank you very much for your time. I've been speaking to Professor Akudugu. He's the president of UTAG.
Starr Today, first, fast, and credible.
You're still listening to Starr Today. It's now time for Campaign Trail. It's some 11 minutes past the hour 6. And with 82 days to the 2024 presidential and parliamentary polls, welcome to your election hub. In less than 24 hours, the largest opposition, NDC, is set to shake the very foundation of this country with what they describe as an enough is enough demonstration. The protest is set to be held simultaneously across all 16 regions of this country, with a massive one to rock the nation's capital. Why is the NDC taking time off its campaigning to protest? Well, the party says the EC's refusal to accede to their request for a forensic audit of the provisional voters register leaves them with no choice but to protest. Welcome once again to the campaign trail. We started from the camp of the NDC, where former President John Dramani Mahama has pledged that the next NDC government will amend the Public Financial Management Act 921 of 2016 to cap the amount of money the country can borrow from external creditors. Speaking during a community engagement at Tutuwaa in the Shayo-Sudoku constituency as part of his campaign tour of the greater region, the NDC flag bearer stated that the move is to ensure fiscal discipline, accountability and prudent management of public finances. Let's go over the phone lines now and engage our man on the ground, Hanan Abdul Adam. He's been following John Mahama's campaign trail. Hanan, what more can you report about the president's promise to repeal certain acts?
Well, Vanessa, that is the Public Management Act that the former president is pledging that if elected in the 2024 general elections, one of the things he would do to curb over borrow, and that will bring a huge burden on the national purse, is to amend that particular act, which is the Act of 2016, Act 921, to ensure that there's a cap on how much any finance minister, it doesn't really matter whether it is under his administration, any successive government, that will come must abide by that particular act to ensure that we don't overborrow to burden the next generation of the country. We know that everywhere he goes as part of his campaign, he justifies why this country is in a mess because of how this NPP government has managed the economic affairs of the country. And so one of the ways to ensure prudent management of the country's resources and to also ensure transparency and accountability is to amend that act, and which is also to elevate or to upgrade the Department of Debt Management at the Finance Ministry into an authority which would regulate that particular activity that the former president is bringing on board. Then, before that, we were in the Bonkatamanso constituency as well, where he has made a number of pledges. And in the Shayo-Sudoku constituency, like you read, he also promised that he will split that constituency into two, because if you look at the land size of the area, it's quite big, and distribution of resources for national development becomes...
Hanan, kindly hold on for me. For clarity, you say the former president is promising to split the Shayo-Sudoku constituency.
Exactly. So he's promising to split it into two because of the land size of the area. He explained that because of the land size of the area, the distribution of resources for national development becomes media for such constituencies, which is very large. And this is not the first time he's making, that pledge. In the voter region a month ago, where he visited, he identified the whole West constituency as another area that he would split, consider splitting if given the nod by the people of Ghana. And so this, he explains, is to ensure fair distribution of national resources where these resources will be put into good use. And then also at the Bonkatamanso area, he also promised that a rice processing factory will be built in that area to ensure that farmers in the area
would have, good, will make good use of the factory to ensure that the rice that are produced in the country are processed well and people of Ghana will consume it so that we'll be able to curb the over importation of these grains into the country. And so currently we are in Oyarifa, which is in the Medina constituency, where Francis Davies, the human rights lawyer, is the member of parliament for the area who is also seeking a second term in parliament. We know that the Medina seat is very crucial for the NDC because in 2016, the party lost it to the MPP for the first time in the history of the constituency ever since it's been created in the last 2 decades. And so the NDC wants to retain that seat. And the former president is set to arrive here, and the crowd here are out in their numbers to welcome the former president to the Medina constituency and to listen to him as he would be unveiling his manifesto message for the people of the country. The 24-hour economy is one of the policies, Vanessa, that the NDC flag bearer has been explaining to the people, and he's been making new promises, which is also, pledges or promises that he's making to the people, which is also outside the manifesto of the NDC. But the reception has been quite good. Some areas have been very electrifying as the people are also yearn for change in this particular election.
Right. Hanan, looking at the time, it's some 18 minutes past 6, and you are yet to get to Oyarifa. We also understand that he's supposed to make some stops at the Dom Kwabena constituency. Do you think he'll be able to make that final stop at the Dom Kwabena constituency? I mean, looking at the time now.
Well, that is going to be possible because Oyarifa, like you mentioned, will be heading to the Medina zone, where we understand that the people of Medina, both west and south, have gathered at the Zurak Park waiting for the former president to arrive. And we also understand that 2 areas where the former president will be visiting in the Dom Kwabena constituency is also said, and the people since 4 p.m. have been waiting for him. And so everywhere he goes for his campaign, he makes sure that every designated point that has been highlighted for the NDC flag bearer to connect with the people, he makes sure that he does that. And so, if you look at the first day of the phase 2 of the campaigns of the Greater Accra region, up until 11:30 p.m., the flag bearer of the NDC was in the Okaikwe North constituency, Okaikwe Central, campaigning massively to ensure that victory is for the NDC. And so 2 constituencies left, Medina constituency and the Dom Kwabena constituency. And we also understand that the Dom Kwabena constituency is a special case for the NDC in this particular election. If we cast our mind back, the NDC had never won that constituency, and so they'll be looking forward to getting that seat as well. As to how the party intends to do that, when we get to Dom Kwabena, John Dramani Mahama would explain that, Vanessa.
Right, Hanan, we understand that the party is set to embark on a nationwide protest tomorrow in their request for the Electoral Commission to conduct an audit into the voters' register. What have you been monitoring, from the leadership of the party?
The party's regional campaign, led by the regional chairman and former member of parliament for the Adenta constituency, Ni Ashimo, has been making that a crucial announcement to the people of Ghana to ensure that they, come out in their numbers tomorrow to participate in that exercise, to drum home their message of having a credible register for the 2024 election. The flag bearer himself, since yesterday when the tour began, every single community that was visited, from the Amafro in the Botano English Amafro constituency, through to Malam in the Wajagbawe constituency, through to La Paz in the Okaikwe North constituency, through to Christian Village, Domicila 2, among others. He has been reiterating that particular call. And so the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has made that call again today. Everywhere we've gone to, from Katamanso, Tutuwaa, amongst others, he has made that call that the NDC would come in their numbers. And he has charged them also to come out in their party colors. And if they are not able to come out in their party colors, they should wear any attire that fits that particular day, which is, of course, when we know that whenever there's demonstration, people come out in red colors to really communicate how they are angry or how they are desperately in need of certain actions to be taken. And so the flag bearer says that the party will not relent in calling for an audit or forensic audit into the voters register, explaining that when he was in office back in 2015, the NPP called for that, and then a committee was set up and led by late Justice Kraft, who supervised that under Charlotte Otte. And he doesn't see what a big deal as when the NDC is also calling for a similar thing to be done this year. And he is urging the Electoral Commission for peace to prevail, to ensure that he listens to the NDC's concern, and that is being also addressed to ensure that all parties are satisfied before this election kicks off on December 7, 2024. As we speak now, Vanessa, the flag bearer of the NDC is arriving at Oyarifa, where the Deba ground has been, prepared. It is going to be an engagement with community members and opinion leaders, and especially the chiefs and people of the area. We understand that Oyarifa has a lot of issues which has to do with, one that has to do with growth, another has to do with education. And so...
Okay, Hanan, we believe that you will send us updates on that development subsequently. But finally, before I let you go, we believe the former president is wrapping up on his Greater Accra tour. What next for the party?
Well, he's ending phase 2 of the Greater Accra Regional Campaign tour today. He will continue later, which is going to be the phase 3 of the exercise. But tomorrow, he will be actively participating in the demonstration to demand a forensic audit of the register. After that, he will make his way to the Ahafo region, one of the newly created regions in 2018, to continue his Mahama for Change campaign tour of Ghana. To call on Ghanaians or to sell his message of reset, change to reset Ghana, and call on the Ghanaians to vote for him against the MPP in the 2024 general election.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. I've been joined by my colleague, Abdul Hanan Adam, giving us updates on Don Mohammed's campaign trail. Let's move to the NPP now. And the political analyst, Dr. Asante, has called on the leadership of the NPP to rein in their running mates, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. This follows the running mates' comments describing NDC supporters in the Ashanti region as nation wreckers. He made these comments when he was addressing supporters after a health walk at the Mincha South constituency.
During the 8 years of the NDC, they collapsed the National Health Insurance Scheme in the Ashanti region. I am telling you, if you are in the Ashanti region and you vote for the NDC, you are a nation wrecker. He turned a deaf ear to our pleas for jobs and light. He has drained the economy and left us with nothing.
But political scientist Dr. Asante has described his comments as needless and unnecessary as he calls on leadership of the party to check the running mates.
Is it the case that he doesn't have message or what? I mean, these are things you don't say them. They're unfortunate and very unnecessary. You don't need them in political discourse. Don't you have message that you will sell it out to the people to ponder over and then give you a response in terms of what their comments, reactions, and ultimately their vote? That is the way to go. For me, it is when you lack message, then you begin to go on that tangent, saying things that will reduce your fortunes and the rest of them. I think he must be called to order within the party and then let him know about some of the negative or the negative consequences of his action. It is not enough for you to be a running mate. must always bear in mind that you are coming to complement the ticket of your flag bearer. Is it a good addition? What is doing? Will it inure to the benefit of the party? Concentrate on messages that resonate with the people. Concentrate on messages that are real and they deal with the problems of the society. And concentrate with messages that give hope to the people in this difficult period. And for me, that is the way to go.
Well, that wraps up campaign show. But before we take a leave of you, let's take it to the foreign front, where the government of Sweden is set to pay Africans and other migrants in their country over $30,000 to leave their country. This is a move by the government to reduce the uncontrollable number of migrants swooping into the country. Addressing the media in a press conference, the Migration Minister, Mr. Johan Fossel, disclosed that the country is having a hard time accommodating immigrants and that the move is to reduce the strain on the country. The minister also reviewed that the policy will commence in 2026 and that the proposed $30,000 would be incentive to persons who voluntarily leave the country. On that note, we end Starr today here at Starr FM. Thank you very much for your company. For more news updates, please log on to starfm.com.gh. I am Tutuwaa Danso, and this production was led by Eko Anan, Prince Essien, Benjamin Saki, and Edem Kojo. And Emmanuel Donko made sure this stream was possible. We apologize for our inability to host Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. Those were circumstances beyond our control. But we are back with tomorrow with more news updates. Have a good evening.